Legal powers I'll brush over because we're a little bit short on time, and we can talk about those in the questions. One of my big concerns, as we've heard a lot about today, is regulatory capture. Here you can see Gallup polls, which talk about the approval in 2009 of the various institutions, and you see that even the IRS is more favorably reviewed now than the Federal Reserve Board. And we see the deterioration of 23 points between 2003 and the president of the Fed. I want to take a moment. I listened to Elizabeth Warren talking today, and I want to ask Senator Dodd, Senator Shelby, and Senator Corker if this is some kind of joke that we're going to put the Consumer Financial Protection Agency inside the Fed. Elizabeth asked you to have a cop on the beat, not financial oligarchs to beat on the cop. And we're in a situation where Citigroup must be viewed as a customer. If are they consumers? This is just it just tells you kind of why we have to have this conference and assemble today. When regulatory discretion seems to fail, and fail miserably as it did during the TARP bailout, the question I ask is, what kind of deterrence do you have to put in place? And as a matter of fact, if you put deterrence, if you put things in place which create the anticipation of pain if you cross the goal line of insolvency, then you're in a place where top managements may self-select. Occasionally they'll fail, but they are deterred despite the suction cup of incentives of heads I win, tail you lose bailouts, which encourage them to take more risk and draw towards the risk of insolvency. Perhaps some things can push you away from it, and publishing these penalties ahead of time makes sense. There's also a large literature in economics on rules versus discretion, and there is a feeling that I have now with the Fed and Treasury and other financial regulators not being trusted, that what we need to do is put more rules in place. In part, there's a tremendous incentive for lobbying to have your cronies be put in the top position. So if you get into the crunch and need a bailout, you get a favorable one. If there are rules that tie everyone's hands, it becomes much less essential as to who the particular person is that's in that place. So we're, as I say, now at a fork in the road, and I'm describing this constellation of issues: how you handle contagion, how you handle international resolution regimes, create information, try to provide clarity and the confidence for prompt action. Simon mentioned at the outset he had reservations about whether these things are feasible. And the reason I did this logical exercise is to show how much energy, effort, institutions, law, and international regulations are still needed and not even under discussion or being presented by our political leaders. And I guess I would say, in the absence of this, we have two options. In other words, if you don't think it's feasible to resolve large, complex institutions, we can break them up, we can raise the capital standards, or we can just endure crony capitalism like we have for the last couple of years. Finally, just in summary, I want to say something that I've been saying in every public speaking engagement I've had recently. So I'll let them talk first. Oh, came back again. The idea that this is populism, that this is some whipped up emotion and not some kind of valid concern on the part of the population is very, very troubling. There are people who you've seen on the stage today, there are people in this room who've done equally fine work, and it will take expertise to put things back together. But I have sat in meeting after meeting, party after party, with people from all walks of life, and we all know this isn't some emotional tirade from uninformed people. Our system in our society is broken, And hopefully this report and other works like it will continue to illuminate the gap between where we have to go and where our legislature and where our administration are going right now. And we can keep the pressure on. Thank you all for being here.